Alright guys, welcome back to Rod Smoking Stuff. So today on the channel we're going to be smoking a corned beef because it's St. Patrick's Day and I don't like my corned beef boiled or cooked in the oven, so I'm going to smoke it because that's the best way to have it. So anyway, I got my corned beef here. It weighs about 3 pounds. You can see it's in water. So what I've done with this is last night I put it in some water and I let it soak for about 3 hours. And after the 3 hours, then I drained the water out, put fresh water in, put the meat back in there, and I let it soak overnight in that fresh water for 3 hours. That's just going to pull some of the salt out of the meat because otherwise, at least in my experience, some people say it isn't for them, but for me it's way too salty. And then I try to use a rub that doesn't have a lot of salt in it, just because this piece of meat is already pretty salty from the brine that they've had it in. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I'm going to season this up. We're going to get on the smoker and get this thing fixed up. Alright guys, so this corned beef really doesn't need any trimming. It's got a little bit of fat on this side, but that's okay. It's going to add a little bit of flavor. So I've got this Kinder's brown sugar rub. I really like the brown sugar on the corned beef. It tends to bring the flavor out really well. Brings the flavor out really well, and it doesn't have a ton of salt in it, so that's good, because like I say, this stuff's got plenty of salt. I'm just going to get all the edges here. Sugar clumps up a little bit in there. Lumps off of there. I don't really use a binder on this because it's obviously wet from being in the water, and then the little bit of salt that's in the rub is going to pull more moisture out. Then I've just got a 16 mesh black pepper, and I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper on there because pepper goes good on it. Just like so. Just better get this in a little. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is to getting that ready to go. So we're going to put the smoker at 225 degrees. We're going to set this piece of meat on it, and we're going to get it cooking. Okay guys, so I've had the smoker out here warming up. I'm going to adjust it down a little bit because it's 250 degrees, which is so we're going to get it down to 225. I'm just going to place this right on here, just like so. I'm going to get my heat probe in there because when this gets to 160 degrees, I'm going to pull it out and wrap it up. I think I'm going to try putting some Wagyu beef tallow on it. I've never done that before with a corned beef. I do it with my briskets all the time and it's really good. And I want to try that on a corned beef and see how it comes out. So when it gets to 160, we'll be back and we'll be wrapping this thing up. Alright guys, we're at 161 degrees. So we're going to take a look at this thing. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, look-see of it. That's what we're looking at. We're going to get this thing wrapped up. So what I've got here is I have about 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, and then a little bit of water up to about half a cup. So I'm half a cup of water to 2 tablespoons is what I've got. And then dump that in there. I'm actually not going to put the whole thing. About half of it looks about right to me. It's about 1/4 of a cup. And I forgot my Wagyu beef tallow, so I'm going to run in and grab that. Throw a tablespoon or 2 of that in here. Alright guys, so I've got my Wagyu beef tallow here. We're going to put, probably about that much in there. Like I say, I've never, maybe a little more for good measure. Never tried this on corned beef, but it's the first time for everything. We'll see if it's good. whenever I do this, anything with barbecue, I always double wrap it. If the first layer gets a hole in it, it saves you from leaking all your moisture and everything out. I like to wrap it up pretty tight. That helps. I think it seems to help preserve the bark there. Okay, so that's going back on. I'm going to put my probe back in on it. And I'm going to put this probe in it. This one goes to the grill. And I've got to go somewhere, and this will shut it down if it gets too hot before I get back, and just go into a warming mode. So we're going to do that. Alright guys, it's done. Hit an internal at 202. We're going to get this pulled off, let it rest for probably an hour or so, and then we'll take a look at it. Alright guys, we've got our corned beef ready here. It's been in this towel wrapped in a cooler for about probably 2 hours now. So, had a good long rest. We're going to pull this out, slice it up, see what we got. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Look at that. Here we go. Let's see, this way. Look how juicy that is. Just coming apart, it's so tender. I gotta get some of this. Check that out. Nice bark on it. That's looking good. That's perfect, guys. Perfect. That brown sugar, you can taste that on there. You can see how hot this still is, even after sitting in that cooler for 2 hours. Man, that's good. I gotta get you in here so you can take a close look at this. It's so tender. I mean, normally for brisket you wouldn't want it this tender, but corned beef, it's the only way to go. Yeah, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and a like, and I would suggest you try this recipe. So good. Oh man, look at that. Man, it's perfect.